Peace and blessings, my beloved earthling friends. We are living in very challenging times, and my book Survival in the 21st Century was appropriate, written over half a century ago, when at that time I already envisioned the forthcoming events that are taking place at this very moment in time. The book was bestseller and at the same time well documented. It was the first holistic book that covers spirituality, mental as well as emotional, and also physiological. Within the book, I identified the mechanics of action associated with cancer, with also diabetes, as well as also with menstrual and female disorders, showing that all of these things can be addressed in a natural way, and yet having a foundation in science and successful that you will find at Hippocrates Health Institute, where I was the co-founder with Ann Wigmore, the #1 health center in the world. And at the same time, I also innovated a lot of the currently available technologies. In particular, all the microgreens. Mine was the fastest and the first to be introduced, which was by way of the rapid growth on a 1 square foot. You could, of half an inch soil, you could grow up to 2 pounds of sunflower greens, buckwheat greens, or wheatgrass, or pea greens. All of these things came as a result of my initial research into development of indoor gardening apartment, so that everybody could be little farmers in their own home base, not only having agricultural experience, but also having a very divine experience with relating to nature in their own home. I've developed a fermentation process instead of based on nut milks and seed milks, as well as also grain milks, which creates powerful enzymatic fermented processes that regenerate the human body when properly used. And I accelerated the whole process. I was the one who was enabling it to be created in a short period of time. Matter of fact, less than 24 hours, between 8 and 24 hours, depending on what fermentation process you are working with. This was a major breakthrough, and no one can make a mistake on my procedures, so that you don't get into moldiness or any of the other complications. I also pioneered the whole enzymatic nutrition field as I spent over 4,000 hours at Harvard Medical Library studying biological abstracts and trying to identify and understand the mechanisms of action in relationship to cancer. When it was in the late 60s, Nixon promised a war on cancer, and I didn't believe there was a war. I thought Marty never made mistakes, and cancer was not a mistake. It was actually an adaptive mechanism that was helping to extend your life a little longer instead of being killed off by other contributing factors. And I was able to exactly identify all the contributing factors and the mechanism of action, what causes cancer, and how to go about reversing it, and applied it with tens of thousands of cases at Hippocrates Health Institute over a period of 50 years. It led under Brian Clements and Anna Marie Clements, doctors. I ended up working within other institutions. I developed within Dick Gregory's Morbid Obesity Center ways of losing over a pound per day, men or women, and just through a whole lifestyle modification system that was simple and inexpensive, can be applied by anybody. I worked on also the workings of stress management and reducing your stress to becoming a very strong motivated force that enables you to get healthier and happier and better. I have worked in many other areas. In particular, one of my favorite is youthing and rejuvenation and regeneration, so that you are never too old to become young again. In time, I also spend quite a great deal of my in the field of exercise. I developed the youthing yoga, which is a combination of about a dozen different disciplines that completely balances out your body, your spine, your glandular system, your neurological system. You're cleaning out and clearing out your astral body, especially the chakra system, putting it back into balance every morning. Adjusting, as an example, your thyroid so that it starts functioning normally and naturally. I had worked in the field of touch and healing, in particular. As an example, broken bones. I broke my kneecap. I fell on a ledge, stainless steel edge of a stairway about 35 years ago when I was unloading a truck and it was raining, and I slipped. I landed on my knee, and it was excruciating pain. I immediately placed my left hand on top and the right hand directly opposite, and just kept screaming. Pain was shooting through my knife and throughout the whole leg body. And yet within a period of 15 minutes of doing this laying of the hands, it was completely healed. It went through a fire, and then it went back to normal temperatures. And I went back unloading the truck like nothing happened, after expressing gratitude to the wonderful powers inherent in all of us. Your ability to heal through working on your astral body, the theories and the mechanisms of action, again, I identified, and how to use the Heart Math Institute concept, where the heart is 10,000 times stronger electromagnetic field. These are some of the explorations, and reflexology, acupressure, as both the diagnostic, so that you can diagnose yourself. As an example, Mount Sinai Hospital declared, based on their research, that anybody has creases in their earlobes, especially deep ones, and more than one, or one, they can die any time of a heart attack. That's from Mount Sinai Hospital. Dr. Ernst Freud showed that anybody that has cardiovascular complications also has cancer. So if you worry about cancer, check your earlobes. If you got creases, you got compromised cardiovascular ability, you need to do something about your life. I pioneered the whole enzymology field by discovering the works of Dr. Howell in the library, Harvard Medical Library, where I spent over 4,000 hours studying biological abstracts all for a period of 30 years, all the way from 1939 to 1975. And identifying the most important crucial research, so that mechanism of action, whether you're looking at leukemia, cancer, I was able to identify it by combining half a dozen different theories, research articles into a coherent theoretical foundation. And then I ended up taking, since people are not willing to make radical changes in their lives, and since the #1 foundation for all diseases is, according to the medical research, I co-authored the book with Dr. Howell, MD, called Food Enzymes for Health and Longevity, with over 500 medical, biological abstract references. It shows that basically every form of degenerative disease, as well as acute condition, starts with indigestion, and indigestion starts with, on the most level, is enzymatic depletion. With this realization, I ended up becoming a sales rep and also designer for National Enzyme Company for a period of 25 years. I took the company with the help of my partner at that time, though the initial work was done by me. I was basically took it from 6 employees to over 150. And at the same time, the company that I was involved also at the same time, Celtec, I brought in the enzyme formulas into that company and taking it into, from a company that was doing 5 million. I ended up to doing $250,000 within a matter of 3 years due to the introduction of enzymes and probiotics, quite innovated by my companion and business partner, Lee Wolfman. We pioneered the whole industry. Later, brought into absorptive and innovative techniques, which you can find out by looking up Astrozyme, ASTRAZYME.com, or Astrozyme on the YouTubes, which you'll see a beautiful 2-minute video clip on what this does. It increases absorption of vitamins by over 50% and minerals. At the same time, it increases over 60% amino acid absorption, as well as other nutraceuticals. Thus, it became such a pioneering, revolutionary new breakthrough in the field of enzymology. So, continue to work in the field of pain management, where every form of pain has a foundation in either due to acidic acidification of crystallization throughout your body of acid crystals, due to the fact that you're not improperly hydrated and living on an acidic diet. The only alkalizing influences on your system is basically the ingesting of alkaline juices, vegetable juices, melons, as well as salads, sprouts, sea vegetables, algae. These are the things that make a difference, and consuming quality water, which would be the only quality water is actually remineralized distilled water. And you just add a little sea salt to distilled water, and you can get the most inexpensive distiller at H2OLabs.com. H2OLabs.com. I think it's around $200. It works perfect. That's what I use here at my home base. We also pioneered in enzyme development. Over 100 enzyme formulas were introduced, and we developed and saved the cutting-edge ones for ourselves. You can find it at our website by looking it up here at the end of the presentation. It's been an exciting life. I am continuously looking for joy, looking for consciousness, the work in the field of consciousness. I started as a child because I had very different upbringing, so that I commuted with Jesus and never with humans, as well as also other astral forms, by living a life of silence till the age of 17 and working on the dynamics of consciousness and in learning through absorption. I was brought into this awareness by being an insomniac due to consumption of ongoing coffee since the age of 12. And I noticed how rapidly I was aging. By the time 17, I had bags under my eyes, liver lines between my eyebrows, as well as horizontal lines across, as well as liver lines emanating from nostrils to the lips, as well as severe skin condition, etc., etc. And so I was aging rapidly because of insomnia, I thought. And so I started studying how to overcome insomnia, or how to get away from sleep. I noticed that animals, wild animals, I used to spend a lot of time in nature, did not sleep. They rested primarily. Unless they ate a huge meal, then they would go unconscious. But most animals never overate as a rule, except the carnivorous animal after a kill. Whereas mammalian and vegan and vegetarian animals do not do such a thing, overconsumption. So, unless it's sugar. So, we have, I noticed that they rested, so I started learning how to rest. And by mastering rest which meant going into what eventually I learned was the corpse pose, and conscious awareness of breathing and reducing all stimulation to my brain. All I did was listen to the sound of my breathing, and eventually I started hearing a sacred sound, which was a high C note. This all brought about states of stillness and continued ever increasing creativity. After about 3 months of practicing this, at night, instead of going to sleep, I would practice, and I would usually fall asleep within a couple hours. I went from basically retarded classes, you might say intellectually compromised individual classes, and in general, I went into academic and then honors, especially in mathematics. I was able to do many of the mathematics at accelerated pace above everyone else. I discovered the meaning of be still and know I am God, because I connected to the source and total knowledge was available. My Dharma as an individual has been primarily, I was born February 23rd, 1939. And from the teachings of Dr. David Phillips in his complete book of Numbers, he gave me a reading, and he basically brought it to my attention. He says, your master number is 29, which is summation of all the numbers, and your mission on planet Earth was to download God's evolutionary plan and to share it with the masses. And this is, so I spent a great deal of my life in the state of learning and suffering, and by the grace of God, at 82, I'm healthier than I've ever been. I do 60 push-ups in the morning. I spend an hour and a half of yoga, qigong, inverse hanging, as well as aerobics, Stairmaster, and other kind of forms of self-indulgence. With all these kind of interventions, the more you invest in yourself, the more you're investing in your future. So this is kind of a basic introduction to myself. The next topic that will be discussed will be how to maximize your energy by optimizing your digestion. Thank you, and check out our websites, and which will be all posted at the bottom of this presentation. At the same time, remember, love yourself unconditionally. And when you learn the meaning of loving yourself, then you will be able to love others. And that means not just thinking about it, but putting it into practice. And that is a very difficult discipline. But once you master the discipline, it is the fuel of joy, it is the fuel of bliss, it is the fuel of connection, it's the fuel of networking on a cosmic level beyond the computer basis. And one of the greatest challenges we have is our relationship to the number one addiction. It's called food. So until I see you in the next presentation, we are one. And all there is love, hug, massage, embrace one another, forget the social distancing. You need lots of oxygen. The masks don't work. You need nutritional empowerment in order to be safe. You need to slim down. You need to smile all the time like an idiot until fake it till you make it, because it becomes your statement of how you feel internally. Pain-free, full of joy. God bless you. Amen.